This is important, very important, in terms of what the peace and future of Ukraine is look like. Yeah. We've spoken here previously how the United States might be able to orient itself going forward, but of course, the Ukrainians got to say it's their country. So here's what they think. Let's put this up there on the screen. 89% of Ukrainians reject ceding land to reach a peace with Russia. Ukrainians back Zelensky's position overwhelmingly that peace talks can't grant Russia land it has seized. This is a new Wall Street Journal poll that just came out in the country. Only 7% say that Zelensky has handled the war poorly. So look, Ukrainian people, at least the ones who are left in the country, are overwhelmingly behind President Zelensky, overwhelmingly do not want to see any land, being given up to Russia. And look, if I was Ukrainian, I would feel the exact same way if somebody invaded my country. So it's a difficult position that we find ourselves in, Krystal. The most desirable outcome for us, for the West, is actually a negotiated peace as fast as possible. But both of the principal parties who are involved have no desire in order to push peace at all, which brings tremendous cost to us, to them, to Russia, to basically all parties who are involved. And unfortunately, the longer that battlefield victory can be claimed really by both sides, which is true, if you look at what's happening, yes, Ukraine is losing in the east, but they pushed the Russians all the way back. They've only really been fighting for a couple of months. I mean, if you look at history, it takes years and millions of lives in order to get to a point before people are willing to accept a negotiated peace, if at all. So I just think that this is further evidence that this will grind on for many, many years to come, as long as our policy also remains whatever Ukraine wants is whatever they get. They basically have a blank check.
That's right. Yeah. I'm very depressed and gloomy about the prospects of this war ending anytime soon. And I mean, there are a couple of notes to make about this particular poll, which is that it does not actually include any of the Ukrainians who live in Crimea or in Donbass, because they don't have Ukrainian mobile phone providers, and these were all Ukraine. So it doesn't include those populations, which I think is really important. It also, this survey was conducted before Russia had their success in the East. So the time when this was conducted, June 9th through 13th, was when Ukraine was at its most we pushed them back and we're doing awesome and we're, really on the march and there's a real chance to win this thing. So it is possible that as Russia has scored victories in the East and claimed territory there, that attitudes could have changed. But I kind of doubt it, to be honest with you. They speak in this article about an almost religious faith in the possibility of victory that, is not really connected to reports from the front lines and what's happening in battle or how many Ukrainians are being lost. And, again, I understand that, because if you're fighting for your nation and your country, that is a very human way to view the situation ultimately. But I did want to put those caveats in there. But yeah, the other thing to say about this is part of why Ukrainians have such an, frankly, at this point, unrealistic expectation of what they can accomplish. The overwhelming majority thinks that they can not only push Russia out of the East, but they can push Russia out of Crimea, which is that's not happening. The part of why they have such an unrealistic expectation of their prospects is because of us, because we have helped to, sow this narrative in our media and our political class that, they're winning and that they can win and that they can have all-out victory, and that is, in fact, what we're backing them and pushing them towards. All of that being said, even without those factors and our very strong hand in this, because this is effectively a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia at this point, it is very hard to see how either side really sees it in their interest to come to the table. On the Ukrainian side, they need to be able to claim a victory. The Russian side, they need to be able to claim a victory. And the U.S., which is really sort of pulling a lot of the strings behind the scenes on this, we have no interest in giving Russia even the appearance of a victory. So they're going to continue fighting. And
actually, our own Director of National Intelligence, this is what they're telling both the public and Congress. Put this up there on the screen. They say that President Putin wants to seize most of Ukraine and that he does not going to give up at all. They said they expect the war will continue for, quote, an extended period of time. In short, the picture remains pretty grim. Russia's attitude toward the West is hardening, is what she said at a recent conference.
I don't know if I buy this assessment that Russia wants to seize most of Ukraine. I am skeptical of that. I mean, even in their initial push, which was certainly had more maximalist aims than what we're seeing now, they really did not mass the number of troops it would require to claim all of Ukraine. Even in the beginning, it seems unlikely that that was truly their goal, to claim the entirety of the state. So at this point in the fighting, I am, again, highly skeptical that that is actually their aim. But in terms of the assessment of, yeah, this is just gonna continue on, I think it's hard to see anything other than that happening. And it's really sad. I mean, it's devastating for Ukraine. The amount of losses they have suffered and the devastation of that country is, horrific. Like what's been done to their ports, their ability to export. Their economy has been hit way worse than the Russian economy.
They're going to contract by 35%.
Yeah, and the Russian economy is going to contract by what, 8%?
Yeah, about
something
8%.
like, which is bad, but it's nowhere near 35%. And long-term massive damage that's going to take so much money to be able to rebuild that country. The lives lost, families broken up, totally upended. I mean, it is just absolutely devastating to them. And it's been devastating for the world. And we keep bringing up that there's a real food crisis that is already really hitting poor nations in particular hard, but it's hitting everybody around the world, and not to mention the fuel prices are fueling inflation. We just got new numbers that indicate growth was even more negative than, so we are officially in stagflation now. Like, that's not theoretical, that's where we are right now. And a large part of that is the continuation of this war and our response to it.
Yeah, unfortunately. And some good news. Actually, Ukraine this morning apparently pushed back Russian troops out of that Snake Island, that famous island where there was, the fake standoff or whatever. But anyway, that's a good thing because it means that some stuff might be moving out of the Black Sea, which is part of the reason that food prices are so high. But, probably Russians are probably going to mount an offensive in order to try and take it back. So it just does demonstrate, the yo-yo effect and how long this stuff can grind on, the extent of what the Russians want, what they can realistically accomplish. Unfortunately, also, Krystal, it could be that the Ukrainians' fears are correct, and that if they do win a military battlefield, they'll just take a pause, then re-up, and then go for Kyiv again. It's possible, certainly. I don't think. I mean, look, who knows? In terms of what Putin and all of their thinking is on that. So yeah, that's where things stand right now.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.